60 Minutes Rewind.
Geniuses march to a tune others don't hear, and often the stranger the character, the greater the innovation. Turns out it can be true even in football. Last month, the nation's college football coaches elected Mike Leach as Coach of the Year. Leach led Texas Tech to the top 10 this season. He was competitive with the heavyweights with a middleweight budget and a fraction of the recruiting power. Leach is one of the few college football coaches who has never played college ball. He's a lawyer by training. Even his biggest fans don't know quite what to make of him, and that's why some sports writers have taken to calling Mike Leach the mad scientist of football. On Saturday nights in West Texas, all roads lead to Lubbock, home of Texas Tech University, 28,000 students, one masked rider, and the Red Raider football team, the powerhouse that shouldn't be.
Touchdown, Red Raiders!
This was the best season in the school's history, 11-1, the most passing yards in the nation, and a ranking that rose to number 2 before settling at number 7. All of this came with a budget a fraction the size of its rivals and little pedigree in a game where tradition is everything. How did they do it? The answer is in the mind of Mike Leach. We came to Texas to talk football. Instead, we met a man who wanted to do card tricks.
So what, you want a magic trick?
Show us his cabinets.
I got Geronimo's death certificate.
And his walls.
Donald Trump.
Even his players have to listen to lectures on subjects from Apaches to pirates, lectures which eventually, improbably, wind their way back to football, like this one did.
I brought this sword in, this pirate sword replica, and talked about, how are you going to swing your sword? Are you going to swing it all out of control where you're open and maybe get a few people and they get you? Or are you going to swing it like this? Or are you going to practice precisely and swing it like that? And I said, they sharpen their swords, they polish their swords. Even the most derelict of pirates would do that, just like you do in the weight room with your body. Your body's your sword.
One sports writer called you a football madman, directing a sideshow.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't have any disagreement with it, really.
Leach is fascinated by the world around him, but indifferent to how the world sees him. He's disheveled, tends to mumble, and talks in circles that only add to his mystery. He's known as a football intellectual, but his eyes really light up when he talks about the simple, brutal collision of the offensive and defensive lines.
The reason they have footballs is because of the big guys. And when O-line, D-line go one-on-one and, just get incredibly violent, that's what it's all about. You get to see those guys just go to war, and it's got all the things that football entails. There's shouting, there's blood, there's boogers, there's a whole thing. And there's spitting, there's fighting, there's ripped jerseys, there's somebody grabbing somebody's throat. It's why you have football.
If you look at what Mike Leach has done for players, what he has gotten out of players, it's like magic.
Writer Michael Lewis wrote Moneyball, a book about how disadvantaged teams succeed in elite sports.
It's as if when he walks into a football program and grabs the quarterback, he sprinkles fairy dust on him because the quarterback becomes a different human being.
Early 92, I'm ready.
The fairy dust is Leach's inventive offense. It's a high-speed aerial assault. Most teams run 70 plays in a game. Tech will run 90. Still, the most remarkable thing is not what Leach has, but what he's missing.
When you're a superstar high school football player in that region, you don't think, I'm going to go to Texas Tech. You go to Texas Tech after Texas and Oklahoma and Nebraska and even Texas A&M have passed on you and not offered you a scholarship. So this coach was taking athletes that had been kind of the rejects of the big schools.
Hurry, don't talk very much.
And using them to beat the big schools.
Okay, here, listen. Listen, here, I got former Red Raider. I want to introduce himself and say a few words.
Hey guys, I'm Scott Pelley with 60 Minutes, and I grew up in this town. One of my producers came in and said, you know, we've got to do the Texas Tech football team. And I said, I can't do that. I went to Texas Tech. And we got in an argument and she won. So here we are. Now I'm going to ask a quick question. How many of you guys are from Texas? Leach gets them wherever he can. When he needed a kicker, he didn't go to Florida or Oklahoma. He went to the stands. Matt Williams was just a fan at a Tech game until this moment. He volunteered in a promotional contest. If he could kick a field goal, he'd win free rent.
Okay, Matt, whenever you're ready, give it a shot.
He takes one step and puts it right down the center of the goalpost. I mean, that's pressure. I figured it'd be easier to kick extra points after that.
Leach sent an equipment manager to catch the contest winner. Williams joined the team and hasn't missed an extra point since. Leach is best known for quarterbacks who have won 6 passing titles in 9 years. This season, his most potent force is quarterback Graham Harrell and wide receiver Michael Crabtree.
No, they rule it down.
In their most famous play, they were losing to the #1 team in the nation, the University of Texas, with 8 seconds left on the clock.
You know, I'm curious. You were, forgive me for this, about to lose to the #1 team in the nation. What's Leach's demeanor in that moment when he's sending you back out there? Is he all wrought up? Is he
No.
tight? Is he angry? Is he yelling at you?
He never
What's
gets
going
all
on?
riled up too much. He usually stays pretty calm. He just turned to me and he said, all right, let's go score, pretty much in that tone.
Pretty good advice
Exactly.
in that
What else
position.
are you going to say, you know? Say, go score, and that's what we did.
Deep strike, got the big man, Crabtree, pulls free, and touchdown, Red Raiders with a second to go.
The upset of the season has been described by some sports writers as among the greatest single plays in the history of college football. Leach uses 5 receivers, and sometimes it seems like they're spread from sideline to sideline.
Nice catch.
Harold goes through his choices so fast you can't really see it, so we put a camera on his helmet and asked him to explain.
One line. Go ahead. So you got to watch that. What I was supposed to read there was vertical to the crossing route to the 2 backs underneath to a dig behind this wall.
Turns out, it's pretty complicated.
With the linebackers that deep, that usually means Z's kind of on the same level as Y. But if they're that deep, I know I do have F underneath those linebackers. So I said,
It took more than 3 minutes for him to tell us what goes through his head in a single play.
Stop this guy. And he was wide open. We complete the pass, and we're about to get some yards on it.
And you do that in how many seconds?
I don't know, 2 seconds, I guess. Whatever that was right there, I don't know.
It's funny, if you look at the way he runs his offense, it looks a little bit more like a basketball offense than a football offense. It's all about spacing. It's all about stretching the defense out. Even his line is stretched all the way across the field. Sometimes it's hard to tell they're an offensive line. There's so much space in between them. Then the second thing he does is there's a kind of socialistic impulse at the heart of his football offense. And when he comes in at halftime during a game, the first thing he asks is, how evenly distributed are the touches of the football across those people? Because he knows that if the defense doesn't know where the ball is going, it makes it much more confusing for the defense.
Shotgun it, and you're going here.
Leach started coaching as a kid, but he seems to have worked pretty hard at giving up the profession. He left sports for law school.
What kind of lawyer did you think you were going to be?
I wanted to do, at the end, I wanted to do like products liability, as in, you know, if that camera explodes all over that guy, we'd sue the camera company and their insurance company, you see.
Family on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Because we're the best academic institution. We're
Education matters to Leach. His teams have among the highest graduation rates in the nation, and he's still trying new pursuits himself.
Pinpoint Doppler 1.
Here, he was a guest weatherman at a Lubbock TV station.
My favorite weather pattern happens to be when it rains mud. Dust comes through, Rain on top of it, it rains mud. This weather report here, what do I know? I'm a football coach. I suggest you go out and do what I do. Get out of bed, go outside, then you know. A lot of the throwing guys have all come out of nasty weather, you know.
All right, over here.
In the great game of college football writ large, does Mike Leach matter?
Oh, Mike Leach has had a huge intellectual influence on the sport already. If you look at a Big 12 football game now versus 10 years ago, it's a completely different event. It's because everybody's watching Mike Leach's offense.
What would you say to someone who says this is all well and good, but he's never won the conference championship, let alone a national championship?
I'd say first, he's young, just wait. I'd say also, God help you if he gets hold of the sort of athletes they get at Texas or Oklahoma or USC. Nobody else will stand a chance.
And toward the end of our time with Leach, we learned that even this interview was part of his plan to get those athletes.
I hope the next Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree are sitting in their living rooms, and they're, you know, kind of astute, studious guys in addition to being talented, and they say, hey, I know what, you know, the game's over, but I'm going to watch 60 minutes. Oh, yeah, Texas Tech, 60 minutes, yeah, that's me, you know, and then they come here. So hopefully that'll turn out that way.